Thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago, in the center of all creation where the supreme being Zeno lived, it was possible to see Daishinkan the high priest together with all his angel children. All were gathered in the place for a reason that affected all the angels and the universes that they were responsible. Daishinkan spoke.
It's good to see you all again, my sons and daughters. You may already be aware that the ancient gods of destruction that you accompanied during the last thousands of years did not do their jobs properly, and because of that their universes were left with a mortal level below that expected level, and so the Zeno-sama decided that he should destroy all the current gods of destruction and reset their universes, so that new gods of destruction would be chosen, and these gods of destruction would have an obligation to do what the ones that were old didn't do, which would be to raise the mortal level of their universes and leave them at a level that would please Zeno-sama,
said the high priest while looking at all his sons, who were looking at him waiting for his orders. Margarita said,
But father, if all the universes are going to be reset like you said, how are we going to choose the new gods of destruction? Because with this reset all mortals will be extremely weak again, and none of them will be able to withstand the power of destruction that all gods of destruction possess,
said the angel responsible for the 11th universe, who, like her brothers and sisters, was with the same question in mind. The Daishinkan said,
Simple, my daughter. This time it won't be you who will choose who will be the next gods of destruction, but me. As Zeno-sama thought it would be more prudent for me to choose the next gods of destruction myself, just in case, and also to ensure that the gods of destruction who I choose will do their job. At least the current gods of destruction are better than the old gods of destruction. Well, it's not like that's a very difficult thing to happen,
said the high priest while looking at all his sons and daughters who were listening to his words. Awamo spoke.
I see. I just hope that the individual who is selected as my new god of destruction will not be similar to the old one, because otherwise the mortal level of my universe will not be so much better than with the old god of destruction,
spoke the angel representing the first universe. This chubby angel placed one of his hands on his cheek as he remembered the deception that was the former god of destruction of his universe. Kusu spoke.
Father, what will happen to the gods of destruction who fail to fulfill their duties as gods of destruction? And not only that, what will happen to the angels who are working with these gods of destruction? After all, I want to be aware and know what I should do to ensure that I won't be punished because of my new god of destruction's lack of professionalism,
said the 10th universe angel, who was staring at the Daishinkan with a certain touch of irritation. After all, the last god of destruction that Kusu served was useless, and she doesn't want to be punished because of someone else. The Daishinkan spoke.
There's no need to worry about that, my daughter. If any god of destruction does not fulfill its function properly, it will be replaced immediately, and the angel of the respective universe will choose this substitute. But if the god of destruction in question has already chosen its substitute, and the angel thinks that he will be a good substitute, he will inherit the position of god of destruction, and he will have to be trained by the angel in question. But don't worry, because no angel will be punished unless they have not fulfilled their duties as an angel,
spoke the high priest, looking at all his sons and daughters, who sighed in relief knowing that they wouldn't be punished if their new gods of destruction didn't do their job properly. Martinu said,
Good thing. After all, I don't want to be punished because of someone else. Father, could you tell us what will happen to the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th universe? You said before that because of some things, these universes would be punished. And along with them, some of our brothers and sisters who lived in these universes as well. None of our brothers and sisters who represent these universes are here with us. So I assume that you and Zeno-sama must have already reached a verdict on this matter. So could you tell us what happened to our brothers and sisters from these universes?
Asked the angel responsible for the 12th universe while looking with a certain touch of curiosity around her. The angel saw that her other brothers and sisters were not in that place, and as soon as the angel finished speaking, all the angels paid attention to Daishinkan because they were also curious about that, and the Daishinkan spoke.
About your other brothers and sisters who are not present here at this time, they were removed from their positions as angels as their universes were completely erased, and with that they no longer needed to work as teachers and guides of the gods of destruction.
spoke the high priest looking at his children, who were surprised by the news that the 6 universes would be erased. But at the same time, the angels who were there were relieved to know that their brothers and sisters were fine, and some were even jealous upon learning that they would no longer need to work with the gods of destruction. Whis said,
"And what will happen to the other angels, my father, since they've been relieved of their jobs and are going to help you by serving Zeno-sama, or are they going to do something else?"
asked the angel responsible for the 7th universe, looking at his father, who thought a little before answering his son's question. The Daishinkan spoke.
"There's no need to worry about your brothers and sisters, as they are all safe and well. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with them, but I guarantee that nothing bad will happen to your brothers, and whatever you want, you can talk to them using your staffs of angels,"
said the high priest while looking at his son, who just sighed in relief, just like some of the other angels who were worried about their brothers and sisters. Others didn't care much about them. Korn said,
"Father, tell us, have you already chosen that these new gods of destruction? And if you have already chosen, which universe each one of them will go to?" asked the angel responsible for the 8th universe.
Daishinkan said,
"I'm glad you reminded me of that, my son. But to answer your question, yes, I've already chosen the new gods of destruction. And I've already decided which angel will train each one of them, so that they can be the true gods of destruction. So far, I have only chosen these gods of destruction for their potential to become gods, so each of them will have to be trained by you. And you will also have to get along with the new gods of destruction. You angels will have to adapt the personality of each one of them. And I say that maybe the personality of some of them doesn't please you, my children, but nothing that time can't solve,"
spoke the high priest while looking at all his children. Some of them were already anxious to know what the new ones were, like gods of destruction, and the angels would have to live with for that day on. But some of them didn't want to know anything about that because they didn't want to train anyone, much less serve as a guide for them. Zeno said,
"High priest, I think it's time to show the new gods of destruction you chose, and I also want to see them since I still haven't been able to see who they are,"
said the supreme god when he arrived at the place. And as always, followed by his guardians, and when the angels saw Zeno-sama, they knelt down out of respect for the supreme god of all creation. Daishinkan spoke.
"If that's what you want, Zeno-sama, then I'll bring out the new gods of destruction right now,"
said the high priest before closing his eyes, and soon after 12 pillars of energy appeared, and when they disappeared it was possible to see 12 beings with different appearances, less 2 that seemed to be twin brothers as well as Whis and Vados. The Daishinkan spoke.
"These are the new gods of destruction, and all of them are already in order. So my sons and daughters, the beings that are on the same line as you will be the ones that you will train and guide from today."
The high priest spoke while looking at the 12 beings that were in front of his sons and daughters. Zeno spoke.
"So these are the new gods of destruction? Some of them don't seem to be that powerful,"
said the supreme being while looking at the 12 beings that were looking at Zeno-sama at that moment. Some of them didn't like Zeno's comments, but none of them opened their mouths to say anything, because even if the new ones, gods of destruction, were weak, they felt Zeno's power, and knew that among all the beings in that place, Zeno was the most powerful. The Daishinkan spoke.
"The new gods of destruction are weak now because they haven't fully become gods of destruction yet, Zeno-sama. But when they are properly trained and have full control over the power of destruction, you will see that they deserve the title of new gods of destruction. Now that everything has been said, it's time for each of you to go to your universes and begin the training of your respective gods of destruction. I bid you all farewell, my sons and daughters. Have a good training, and don't disappoint me,"
said the high priest looking at all his sons and daughters, who approached their respective gods of destruction. And then all disappeared from that place, leaving only the high priest together with Zeno and his guardian. Many years had passed since the day when all the new gods of destruction were chosen as gods of destruction, and went to their respective universes, where they would be trained and guided by their respective angels. But among the new gods of destruction, there were those who were possessed in very arrogant and proud personalities, and with the title of god of destruction, the level of arrogance and pride turned out to be very high. Among those gods, there was one who had become a very arrogant and proud being, to the point of not wanting to hear anything that his angel had to say. That arrogant god of destruction was called Beerus, and he had become the god of destruction of the 7th universe, and the angel Whis was his guide and master, and as such Whis was responsible for Beerus. But the god of destruction, Beerus, did not care about his angel's opinions of his actions. After becoming a god of destruction, Beerus became very arrogant and with a superiority complex, and this displeased his angel, who hated the way Beerus spoke to him because Beerus always referred to Whis as a mere employee who had the function of training him, in addition to serving as a means of transportation, since Whis had the ability to travel between universes and planets at a high speed above light, in addition to some other things that Whis would do that Beerus would not be able to do even if he trained for thousands of years. Whis at first thought that Beerus' personality would improve over the years and with living with other mortal beings and Whis himself, but unfortunately this did not happen because Beerus was someone extremely arrogant, and even over the years the arrogance had only increased, and what irritated Whis the most was the fact that Beerus thought he was the most powerful being in all the universes. Beerus believed that if he trained for many years, he could even overcome Whis' power, and what shocked the angel the most, that was when Beerus said that in the future he would be so powerful that he would even defeat the High Priest, and then defeat Zeno. And with that, Beerus would become the most powerful of all universes and rule them all. That was a shock for Whis, who was enraged by what Beerus said, but kept his calm so as not to advance on Beerus, since one of his father's rules was that angels should not fight each other or their gods of destruction unless it was in a combat of training. Because of that, Whis kept his composure at that moment. After many years besides Beerus and realizing that he would never change, Whis ended up going to his father to ask him to put another angel to train and guide Beerus, since Whis was no longer supporting Beerus. But Daishinkan refused Whis' request, claiming that he had chosen Whis to guide Beerus exactly because Beerus was the way and Whis was the only person who could keep Beerus under control, so that he would not end up destroying the 7th universe. Because if that happened, Daishinkan would have to eliminate Beerus, and possibly Whis would be punished for this, not by his father the Daishinkan, but by Zeno himself, as he would think that the destruction of the 7th universe had been a mistake and lack of professionalism by Whis himself. Whis, seeing that he couldn't do anything against his fate, he simply accepted and tried to gradually improve the personality of his god of destruction. After all, Whis wanted or not, he would have to stay besides Beerus for long millennia. So he tried to gradually change the Beerus' personality and try to change his own personality to ignore the stupid things Beerus said or thought. At the moment, currently in the 7th universe, it was possible to see a large and vast solar system with a flaming yellow star with several planets around it in perfect harmony. But it didn't take long for a pillar of energy with different colors to approach one of the planets. This planet was almost entirely composed of water and some mounds of earth that were spread around the planet, and not only that, but on the planet there were living beings that were large predator-like creatures that existed on a planet called Earth that was in the 6th universe, where the twin brother of Beerus was the god of destruction. It didn't take long for that pillar of energy to hit the planet. Beerus, when he saw that, said, "It seems that there is also a planet Earth in my universe. But just like my brothers, this planet is very poorly developed and is being controlled by these creatures called dinosaurs. These creatures have so little ki that I doubt they will ever be useful to my universe. Maybe they serve as food, but other than that, these creatures are too useless, so I think I'll destroy them at once," spoke the god of destruction while looking around and felt the ki of the beings on that planet. Beerus saw that none of them had any potential good enough to stay alive. Whis said, "It would not be wise to destroy this planet and the beings that inhabit it. This solar system is not even thousands of years old, yet so destroying it would not be a smart thing. Moreover, on this planet there is a race that has a very high level of evolution, and if there is a union of a human with some other race, this could generate a hybrid with great power. So I recommend waiting a few thousand years before destroying this planet and the creatures that inhabit it," said the angel in a calm tone, while looking at Beerus, who didn't like the fact that Mess was meddling in his decision. Beerus spoke. "Whis, you are nothing more than a mere spectator, so shut up and let me do my job," said the god of destruction, angry with the angel. Beerus soon started to float off the planet, and seeing this, Whis followed him, and when they were both off the planet, Beerus created a big attack and threw it against the planet. But Whis, unlike the other times Beerus did that, the angel got in and got in front of the attack and redirected it far away from planet Earth. But the attack ended up hitting another planet, only this time had no life and was composed of lunar rocks. Beerus was annoyed to see that his attack was repelled by Whis, but before he could say anything, Whis disappeared and reappeared behind his back, and then a new pillar of energy was formed, and soon both divine beings disappeared from that place. But in doing so, Whis did not realize that by redirecting Beerus' attack, Whis ended up destroying a rocky planet that exploded, and one of the stones ended up crashing into a planet and killing several living beings on that planet. on the planet of the God of Destruction. Currently on the planet of the God of Destruction, it was possible to see a pillar of energy appearing in the center of the place, and soon it was possible to see Whis and Beerus after the pillar of energy disappeared. Beerus tried to hit Whis, who disappeared from the place, and reappeared a few meters away from Beerus. Beerus spoke. "Who do you think you are to stop me from doing my job?" said the enraged God of Destruction, while looking at Whis, who was serious. Whis said, "I am an angel who is obligated to train a self-centered, arrogant, and proud idiot who only knows how to complain about what I do and what I say. I am the one that the God of Destruction will never be able to overcome, because no matter how strong the God of Destruction becomes, or how long he lives or trains, a God of Destruction will never be able to even touch an angel. I am the angel who has to see a very stupid God of Destruction with a superiority complex on a daily basis, and who doesn't know how weak he is in front of true divine beings like angels. I am the angel who has to listen daily to someone who doesn't know that no matter how powerful a God of Destruction becomes, he will never be as strong as the High Priest, let alone Zeno-sama. I think that idiot angel who is tied to someone so arrogant as me," said the angel in a very angry tone and at the same time sad, so much so that there was a small drop of tear forming in the corner of his eyes. Beerus said, "You're saying I'll never get over you or your dad or that damn Zeno? Since that's how it is, I'll show you who is stronger in my universe," said the God of Destruction, releasing his power of destruction as he looked at Whis, who got serious. Whis said, "Since it's like this, I'm going to teach you something important that all beings should know. That gods of destruction must learn their place in the universe, and that lesson I will teach you, Beerus," said the angel, assuming a slight combat posture. Whis would not even reach 1% of his power to teach Beerus a lesson. Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on the planet of the God of Destruction, it was possible to see the current destroyer of that universe, Beerus, raising his power while forming an aura made of pure energy of destruction around his body. A few meters away from Beerus, Whis was looking at the God of Destruction without worrying about the power that Beerus was gathering, because even using all his power, Beerus would not be able to hurt Whis. So defeating Whis would be something completely impossible for Beerus with the current level of his power. And that was something that the God of Destruction would never admit. And even knowing the difference between the strengths of both divine beings, Beerus would not back down, because even though his strength level was great, Beerus's pride and arrogance were still bigger. Whis was analyzing every inch of Beerus's body and seeing that Beerus's power of destruction was increasing every second. But even though Beerus's power continued to increase, Whis still didn't feel threatened, because for the angel Whis, Beerus's energy and his killing intent being released was like a light breeze that was passing through his hair. It didn't shake the angel one bit, who felt sorry for Beerus's level of weakness. Beerus, after raising his power to the maximum, he advanced with everything towards Whis, who just watched Beerus's movements. Beerus was advancing at great speed against his angel. At least, that's what he thought. But for Whis, Beerus's movements were so slow that his speed was ridiculous. Beerus, when approaching Whis, tried to hit him with a punch in his face, but the angel just bent his head to the side, avoiding Beerus's blow. The God of Destruction did not stop with just one blow and tried to land several punches in Whis, and just like the others, the angel dodged easily, which was making Beerus increasingly irritated with the fact that he couldn't land any hits on Whis. And what irritated the God of Destruction the most was Whis's neutral and boring face. Whis dodged all the attacks that were being launched by Beerus, and all of this using smoothing and calm movements, as if the angel wasn't even trying to dodge the God of Destruction's blows. And really, Whis wasn't even trying, because at all times the angel looked anywhere but Beerus himself, and that only made the God of Destruction even angrier. Beerus, who was very angry, started to release even more energy, and then the God of Destruction fired several spears of ki against Whis. But the angel himself just raised his hand and created a barrier around himself. The barrier protected the angel from the spears of ki, and each spear that hit the barrier of Whis was completely destroyed or repelled. And thanks to that barrier of Whis, the planet of the God of Destruction ended up gaining several craters, and the small planets that were around the planet of the God of Destruction ended up being completely destroyed. And seeing that, Whis sighed, not because the planets had been destroyed, but because it would be tedious to rebuild all that. Because as an angel, Whis had the power to rewind time, and with that fix the wrong things that his God of Destruction had done. Beerus said, "You bastard! Stop dodging and protect yourself from my attacks, and come face me for real," said the god of destruction while looking at his angel, who was still protecting himself with the energy barrier that was around him.
Whis said, "I don't lack will, but I can't do that because it goes against my father's rules. But you yourself are challenging me to a fight, and the rules say that I cannot fight by my will, but as my god of destruction is wanting me to face him, then this rule can be circumvented on that occasion," said the angel, disposing of his barrier and putting himself in a combat posture. Then Whis started to release a small amount of energy that ended up forming an aura around him. Beerus, when he saw that Whis was finally going to start facing him for real, the god of destruction put himself in a combat posture. But when he looked around, he saw Whis had disappeared. And when he reappeared, he was already in front of Beerus, hitting a punch on his face that was so strong, it was enough to throw the god of destruction away. Whis then disappeared again and reappeared next to Beerus, landing a kick on his shoulder. And when Beerus managed to recover, he ended up receiving a key attack that took the form of a large spear of energy, which made the god of destruction support his knees on the floor as he held Wiss's attack in his hands. Beerus gathering his energy in his arms, he managed to withstand the key attack, and using the rest of his energy, Beerus threw the key attack back to Whis, and when the attack approached the angel, he snapped his fingers. And with that, the attack that Beerus had done disappeared, without leaving any trace of energy. Beerus was very surprised when he saw that, because he had felt the difference in the powers of both beings. But when Beerus looked at Whis, he was even more surprised to see that Whis was crying, and the reason was unknown to Beerus. Beerus said, "Why are you crying?" asked the god of destruction to his angel. Whis said, "Because I don't like to fight for no reason. I hate hurting other people, and even though you're someone I don't like, due to your attitudes, I don't have to hurt you, but you keep forcing me to do it. And that's why I'm crying," said the angel through tears, because he hated hurting other people, and that made the god of destruction have a slight weight on his conscience. But soon after, Beerus ended up fainting for having used too much energy in that meaningless battle. Thousands of years in the future. Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on planet Earth, it was possible to see that a big birthday party was happening at the Capsule Corporation. Whis and Beerus were present because they had been invited to the party of Bra, Vegeta's daughter, with Bulma, and Beerus was Bra's godfather, also her nanny when the god of destruction was on planet Earth. Beerus was at the table a little further away with several dishes on his table. The god of destruction had already eaten a lot, and now he was looking at the sky thoughtfully until Whis arrived at the scene. Whis said, "Mr. Beerus, you seem to be a little pensive. Did something happen?" asked the angel as he approached Beerus with some plates of sweets in his hand. Beerus said, "It's nothing, Whis. I just remember the past, when you and I still hated each other, and when I practically forced you to face me, because I wanted to show that I wasn't someone weak. But as I expected, I am much weaker than you, and you didn't even see it as a fight, because from the beginning you didn't want to hurt me, and when I forced you to reach that level said the god of destruction before being interrupted by Whis, who sat beside from Beerus. Whis said, "I ended up crying because I didn't want to have to hurt anyone without a reason, and hurting you made me feel bad, and ended up crying." "But why are you thinking about that?" asked the angel while looking at his god of destruction. Beerus spoke, "I was remembering how proud and arrogant a young god of destruction I was, who just by being a destroyer title thought he could have anything and defeat anyone, including the high priest and Senosama. I was very stupid back then, and young," said the god of destruction with an indignant tone about his own insignificance before other powerful beings that Beerus thought he was superior to when he was younger. Whis said, "You were young, and had just received the title of god of destruction, so you don't have to look like that, Mr. Beerus. At that time, I thought I was punished because my father placed you as my god of destruction. But luckily, you ended up changing after that day. And nowadays, you're practically not that arrogant and proud a god of destruction anymore, but a good friend. But it's still not the god of destruction who takes his work more seriously," said the angel with a funny tone to change the heavy atmosphere that was between the two, and that worked. Beerus said, "Seriously, I'm here opening my heart and talking about all my mistakes, and you come and say this, Whis. That's why I don't like talking about these matters with you," said the god of destruction, irritated, before picking up some sweets and putting them in his mouth.
And with that, the heavy atmosphere that was in the place disappeared, and Whis started laughing at the reaction of his god of destruction. With that, we will end today's video. If you want to see the continuation of this incredible story, leave a lot of likes on the video and comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you another day, guys.